So I think I was about 14 years old when I first had suicidal thoughts. I remember being at home, alone, near the washing machine, looking at a bottle of bleach and wondering if I drank this, would it kill me? Now let me be clear, I have never attempted suicide, but I definitely have been through periods of prolonged depression that had me thinking about it. Now I know for me, looking back, one of the reasons I contemplated taking my own life is because I felt trapped. I didn't feel like I had any real friends. The people I hang out with at school bullied me all the time. I hated my body. I was super skinny and I just felt like no matter what I did, I couldn't put on any muscle. And I was always embarrassed by the fact that we never had money. We never had funds. We never could do anything. And I just was so upset with just simply my life and the way I lived. And gentlemen, I'm sharing this story with you, not because I want you to feel bad for me, but because I want you to better understand yourself as a man and how we deal with depression. You see, in preparation for this video, I did a lot of research and I found this really interesting study that I've never seen anyone talk about. And it's about how men and women react very differently whenever serotonin is blocked. In a nutshell, they had two different groups, men and women, and both of them had gone through depression and overcome it. Well, they spiked their drinks and it affected their brain so it couldn't absorb serotonin, and they wanted to see how these people would react. Well, the women, not surprisingly, couldn't control their emotions and just started to sob about issues and things that had happened in their life even years before. The guys, nothing except for their actions. They wanted to get out. They wanted to escape. One guy was demanding to go to the bar across the street to drink. The point, when most guys are dealing with mental issues, they don't seek help. They seek escape. And that's why almost 80% of suicides, that permanent solution to a temporary problem, are committed by men. Let's look at substance abuse when it comes to dealing with issues. Men, 3 to 1 are going to turn to a substance, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, to be able to deal with issues versus women. And even though it's believed that men and women suffer depression at the same rate, twice as many women are diagnosed because they actually seek help. Men, they don't seek help. They just die. Well, in today's video, gents, let's see if we can do something about this. That's why we're talking about the brutal truths that you need to know when it comes to the men's mental health crisis. Now, today's video, gents, is brought to you by our sponsor, BetterHelp. I've talked about them before. In fact, I have used BetterHelp. And if you're not familiar with them, this is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. And yeah, gents, you heard me correct. I have used their service. I went through, I tested it, and I actually talked about my sister who committed suicide. I've talked about depression issues I've gone through, the relationship I've had with my dad and trying to repair that. And with BetterHelp, guys, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists. And these professionals can help you with a wide range of issues. Now, to get started, you just need to answer a few questions about your needs and the preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. After that, you can start talking with your therapist, however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time, and you can schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. And perhaps my favorite part, if the therapist isn't a right fit, 'cause you got to find someone that you connect with. Guess what? To switch to a different therapist, there is no additional charge. Gents, with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you'd expect from an in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, all at an affordable price. To get started today, gents, and save 10% on your first month, go to betterhelp.com/realmenrealstyle. Again, that's betterhelp.com/realmenrealstyle. Down in the description of today's video, I got the best deal for you you're going to find on the web. Now, gents, in that intro, I hit on 3 brutal truths really quick. Let me summarize them. Suicide. Every 20 minutes, you got a guy killing himself. 3 or 4 to 1 odds with women. And I think that suicide in general, we as a society could do more to stop any suicide. But with men, it just seems like we're not even paying attention here. Next up, substance abuse. 3, again, 4 to 1 odds here. Guys are just turning to a substance, drugs, alcohol, you name whatever it is, we're finding a way to basically just numb the pain. And let's talk about diagnosis, going and seeing doctors. The vast majority of men are afraid. They don't want to go out there and talk to anyone. And let's talk about that in more detail. The fact that men are not being diagnosed for depression, we are not, when it comes to suicide, it's not being stopped. why. Now, part of that you could say is conditioning, as men were told to hold it in, to be a man, to, man up, not to show any type of feelings, don't cry, that kind of stuff. All that is definitely part of the problem, but another part is that men are often misdiagnosed. That irritability, that anger, that frustration, maybe that little bit of, you blowing your top, that is a symptom in many cases for men that they are depressed. I mean, when you look at the symptoms of depressed men, they oftentimes include higher risk taking. Again, substance abuse. You're going to see them aggressive, acting out. And is this diagnosed as depression? No, it's just simply being as a guy that simply can't handle his feelings. On top of that, where can a man go? Seriously, with this mental health crisis, another brutal truth is that men have no place to express themselves. Yeah, you go to a college campus, there are tons of safe zones for women. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you look for something for men, good luck. Now, you can argue that, okay, these safe spaces, these places that men can go talk about mental issues, they welcome all people. But if you look at the techniques, they're actually designed more for women. I mean, a lot of these places, they're designed to actually prescribe you medication or talk psychotherapy, versus with men, we oftentimes want to take action. We want to be doing something. We don't want to talk in a room about this. We actually want to work with somebody or to engage with, somebody that actually is, it just feels right to us. Again, as I was doing the research for this video, it actually made a lot of sense to me. I know I would be attracted to sessions that are just simply shorter. I don't want to go spend an hour or 2 hours talking with somebody. Maybe I'll talk about it for 15 to 20 minutes, but then I want to take action. I want to get out there and do something to fix the problem. Another type of therapy that men are really open to is actually spending time outdoors. And this is maybe why so many of us actually just like to throw a backpack on and go hiking, getting out in the woods, camping. This is a form of therapy, but it's not one that we can easily find as, guys going out there. It's something that we should seek, though. And by the way, another type of therapy that I've read about that a lot of men just absolutely love, and I 100% agree with, is music therapy. I know for me, just simply going back and listening to some of my favorite music, making time for that. That's maybe why going to the gym, I really reserve that time for my music, and I just love it. But it's also maybe getting back to an instrument. I grew up playing the piano. I hated it when I was a kid, but man, it's kind of cool to just be able to sit down and play some old songs. And definitely it feels good. Be able to go in there and maybe be able to build something. Again, being able to work with your hands. This type of therapy for a lot of men is simply being able to go work with wood. You've got to find what works for you, but this is something that in many ways our society isn't set up to encourage men to do, to be able to seek help through these modalities. Now, this next brutal truth is one I think a lot of guys can identify with, and they don't have a community that they can lean on. They don't have a group of guys. They don't have people that they can count on to be able to speak with, to be able to engage with when they need their help. I'm fortunate. I look at it, I've got communities of, when I was in the Marine Corps, I can always call back on certain Marines. Back in college, I was in a fraternity that was a little bit extreme, and great group of guys I can always reach out to. And I've worked over the last 15 years to develop my own community of business owners and entrepreneurs, that it's more than just talking business. We find that we just talk about life. We talk about the issues. We talk about the pressures, the problems. But most men lose touch with their college friends or their high school friends, the people they used to have, because so many of us are so bad at continuing to build those relationships. We get into a long-term relationship, a marriage, and we're told, hey, no, focus in on your family, neglect those relationships. Guys, I'm here to tell you, those relationships are so important, and you need to make sure you don't give up on them, that you continue to, nurture those relationships, because you're going to need them more as you get older. And that takes me to this next point, which it seems our culture, society in general, seems to be declaring war on masculinity, trying to make it something negative. When I hear the word toxic masculinity, I think most people here are just simply being lazy. They haven't actually thought through what masculinity truly is. And on a side note, yes, I am aware that some people use the word because they're attacking masculinity in of itself. I mean, the reality is, if you look at a classic masculine man, what is he? He's going to be strong. He's going to be courageous. He's going to be independent. And he's going to be a leader. I mean, how can that in pretty much any form be toxic? I mean, if I were to describe a guy as abusive, overconfident, foolhardy, a dictator, That has nothing to do with masculinity. Now, I'm not even going to pretend to be able to talk about this subject in the same way that Brett McKay or Jordan Peterson can. But what I will say is I do feel that society has somehow put masculinity as the enemy, which is a big mistake. Masculinity and masculine men are a great thing for women, for men, for the world as a whole. The next brutal truth about the mental health crisis is that men are lonely, incredibly lonely. A lot of people think, oh, these incels, these guys, they just want sex. They just want women to submit. That's not true. A lot of guys just simply want somebody to love them. They just miss that. They haven't had a hug for years. And I know you guys are out there, and it's just something that, I know I'm in a position where I am very fortunate. I have a woman that we've built her a family and a relationship. And, it's taken us 20 years to build what we have. But I know that there are so many men out there that want to find that with somebody, with some group. And the good news is that you can still start. Maybe it's not going to be what you envisioned. Maybe it's not going to be what your parents want. Maybe it's not going to be exactly what you thought you wanted. But here's the thing is you can start taking steps in that direction. One of the easiest ways is to, join clubs. Okay, so it is freezing cold outside, and I've had to stop this video a couple times because there are snowmobiles shooting by. Snowmobile clubs. I'll tell you, it is so funny seeing these guys get together, but they love each other, and they have so much great times getting together. It brings together a diverse group. Some other crazy things that people do up here in the colds of Wisconsin. They go curling, which is, I still have not found why they do this, but a lot of people seem to love it. There's cross-country skiing. I can see that one actually great exercise. Downhill skiing, if you're a little bit more adventurous. Log rolling. Yes, I didn't even know this existed till I found a group that kept meeting up on Wednesdays up at my pool, and I have to admit, it looked fun, and I got my kids into it. Or maybe you've got something to teach. I know some of you guys maybe wrestled, you were football players. Guys, check with your local teams. Yes, you're going to have to go through a background check, but I know locally here in small town USA, they are starving for coaches, especially, middle school, elementary. I mean, a lot of parents are just super busy. I get it. You may not have kids, but you can form relationships. You can form groups just simply by being there for others. Here's another crazy out there idea. So maybe you're into saving the environment. Well, check out this aquaponics. I went to this farm the other day, blew me away. And what was really cool about this, besides the fish feeding the plants, plants feeding the fish, this whole system they've got here is how small scale you can get this going. Guess what? You start getting into this, you start talking and building a network, a club of other people that want to do this, that want to talk about this, get together, share information. Next thing you know, you've got this whole group of people that are crazy about aquaponics. You're saving the world, you're saving the environment, you're saving your local community, and you're saving yourself. If you're lonely, gents, know that you're not alone. And all you have to do is start taking a step towards other lonely people, other people that want to connect, and you are going to be surprised at how many people simply start taking a step towards you as well. The next brutal truth when it comes to men's mental health is that social media is doing us no favors. Yes, there are some benefits, but in general, the net for most guys is negative. I highly advise you delete the apps. If you can't do that, then hide them on your phone. Find a way to spend less time on your phone, to actually be interacting with people. Gents, you've probably heard this before, but if you're not paying for the product, most likely you are the product. When it comes to Facebook, when it comes to Instagram, when it comes to Twitter, any of that stuff, it is about exciting you to stay on there, to be addicted, to engage so they can gather information about you. And the stories, the information that you're reading about over there on Reddit, I know I had the Reddit app for a while. I had to get rid of that thing because it wasn't about reality on Reddit. It was about what upset us. What about got people? It's about the extremes. And that's all Reddit was doing. It was feeding into those extremes and people going on there and not sharing that their day was good, was average. They had a nice meal with some friends. No, none of that. That doesn't go anywhere. No, if you want to get engagement, you want to get the likes, you want to get the thumbs up, then you need to put on something that really offends, really upsets, incites people. And what gets us excited? Well, I don't know about you, but when I see something that I vehemently disagree with, I got to jump in there and prove to this person who I don't know, who probably doesn't care about me at all, I got to prove that they're wrong. Whenever I see a comment on, and that's why I stay out of usually the YouTube comments, because man, there could be some nastiness in there. We also get crazy and we get excited when we see something that confirms what we believe. And that's what Reddit and all these other social media platforms are doing, is they're getting us to engage because they make money off our engagement. They make money when we spend time on that platform. Now, these next two I didn't really see talked about much, but I do feel that they're contributing to the mental health crisis of men, and that is virtual work and the way that we react whenever we lose our job. So first up, virtual work. I feel that in many ways it's dehumanizing in a lot of situations because you're not engaging with people. If you've got people working under you, and I've got a team, and I have found that whenever I don't ever meet with a contractor who's doing a job for me, this is a real human being over there, maybe building out a website or something, I don't think of them like a human. And I don't mean to be bad or vindictive or anything here. It's just simply I'm busy on the other side of the world working on my project, and I'm not treating them with the respect I would if they were in my office, if we were seeing them face to face. It's this one, I get that it's a great thing. Global work overall. I wouldn't have been able to create my company if I wasn't able to work with people in the Philippines, Ukraine, Czech Republic, Croatia, all of, England, all the different places. I've got people that work with me in my companies. But it is something I feel in many situations, especially if you're doing grunt work or work that you don't even virtually, meet with that person on Zoom, video call, it can feel very dehumanizing, and people can sometimes not even realize they're treating you like a cog in the system. And I know that this can happen in physical, in person, but I feel it's definitely, it's taken to a whole other level with virtual work. Anyone agree, disagree? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments, but let's now talk about what happens when a man is fired. So there was this whole study talked about how men and women react differently. And it's controversial because I've seen other studies that have gone against this, but the one I did read, and it seems to be generally understood, is that when a man loses his job, and I've seen this with so many of my friends, they lose their job in their 40s, some of them in their 50s, and they are aimless. They have lost their meaning. They've lost their direction, because for so many of us, who we are is in many ways defined by what we do. Right or wrong, we have attributed our meaning to our career, to our work, to going in there, being able to do a good job. And if you lose your job, if you get fired, if your technology kind of replaces you, all of a sudden you find yourself adrift. And I know many of you guys have had friends that this has happened to. And this is a big deal because a lot of men never recover. And as a business owner, we're no exception, because if our business fails, even if we sell it, I know it sounds like a bad problem. You get all this money for your business, but so many business owners I know who have sold their businesses go into depression because they're like, what do I do with my life? They've got this money, but they just don't know what to do. Sounds like a good problem, but it is, mental health, guys. You got to take care of what's up here. Now, what about dating? Well, a lot of guys, they've been out of the game for a while saying, just simply go out there and talk to women. It's not that easy. In fact, all the research I did, I can see why guys have stopped dating. And that's what I cover in this video right here. You want to go check this out. I go into detail why so many men are just walking away from dating. It's not even worth it. They're stepping out of the game. And I do give my tips and what I think, my thoughts on marriage and why, find out in this video what they are, guys. It's a good video. I enjoyed putting it together, and it's a good one. Go check it out, guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next video. Yes, click on that video.